movie review recap with Kuroh. The movie starts with John. He's like something like a time agent, right? So like they travel in time to stop bigger things from happening and save lives. And he just got into an accident where all of his face burned off and he got a new face. And he looks in the mirror, bam, now looks like this. He is preparing for a super important mission, right? So he's ready. John goes to a bar where he's like undercover as a bartender. So John is serving at a bar. This one dude comes in. Let's call him, I don't know, Jason, just so we can keep track. So Jason sits down, not having a great day, right? He's like, yo, I have time, you can tell me. And he's like, okay, sure. He then continues to talk about his life story, right? As a child, he was put in front of an adoption center as a baby. They got like an anonymous call, so they picked up the baby, and bam, Jason grew up in that orphanage. Thank you. Only thing is, Jason wasn't Jason back then. He was Jane, like Jane Doe, because he didn't have a name, or she didn't have a name. So she's not like the other girls, but like she's like a little bit autistic, right? So she's like super intelligent, doesn't care about the other people, no interest, yada yada. So she tries to get into some astronaut stuff, right? But back then women weren't allowed in positions like this, and that's why she wanted to like prove herself, right? But basically it was like kind of sad. So yeah, they just wanted women up there because men, you know, they cannot be alone up there for this long time and not have, you know. Anyways, it gets declined because of, yeah, she got into a fight because she got bullied. So he punched a bitch in the face, got like suspended, but not before she talked to, how are we calling him? What sounds like a important name? Adam, if you say so. So Adam is like the super boss chef, right? And he's kind of like saying, yo, we are actually also looking for like special people because like super top secret stuff. But in the end, doesn't work out, right? So Jane never gets adopted. Dad moves out. Then Jane finally meets someone. We don't know who. So one day they're sitting on a bench, on a date, having a wonderful time. And then he's like, yo, I will be right back, right? He never comes back. She, heartbroken, feels like her life is ruined. Turns out she was preggo, has no husband to take care of her. She decides to keep the baby. So Jane gives birth to baby, but Jane lost the baby, right? During the operation, something doesn't go right. Mr. Doctor tells her, yo, has anyone ever like looked at you? And she's like, yeah, why? And he's like, are you sure? Because like we noticed that you have both like sexual organs, like though the male is like kind of underdeveloped, but we could like save you. We had to remove your uterus and everything, but though like how like the way you can continue to pee, for example, is we kind of the thing is, so they like kind of saved her pee-pee, right? So she knows her pee-pee. She was like, okay, I guess continue to like operate on her. She's now a man, calls herself John. Oh no, wait, not John, Jason, sorry. So this is now this Jason who's currently telling the story to the guy. And then John is, yo, if you were like in front of the guy who ruined your life, what would you do? Would you kill him? And Jason is like, yeah, I would. And then John is like, okay, because I can guarantee you will. They both time travel now to the past, so Jason can take out the guy who ruined his life. He sends him to like the university where this guy is apparently. And then Jason meets Jane, and bam, we get like the dialogue, and we notice, bam, it's the same dialogue from back then. So we now know that Jane and Jason are the same person, though Jason now fell for Jane. Jane fell for Jason. They're now in love, even though he knows Jane is him. He knows. But he misses Jane so much. For some reason, having a pee-pee now totally changed his character, but I guess he was kind of forced into it. I don't know. Anyways, one day, John comes along and is like, yo, Jason, come here for a second. They're currently sitting on the bench, you know? That bench. He's like, okay, says to Jane, yo, I will be right back. So he fucks off. She brokenhearted. We know exactly where this ends. We've been here. So at this point, we know that we realize, oh, shit, they're the same person. Oh fuck. He cannot kill her because he is basically the reason. We also later on like see a scene where Jason is like starting to work for that super secret company, right? Because they did mention that he was a potential match. One day, gets his face burned off, gets a new one sewn on. At this point, we know Jason is John. John is his new face. It's the same person. Then we continue on with, we still call him Jason for now, okay? We still continue on with John, so the character, the person we first followed. His last mission was to like find the Fizzle Bomber. Fizzle Bomber because he kept like killing people, right? It was one of his missions. And then he like, yo, shit, we didn't get Fizzle Bomber, but I'm decommissioned now. I did my job. He sits down. I'm retired now. This is where I will spend the last of my time in this year, 19-something. My time machine stopped working. Bam, didn't stop working. He looks into his file. In his files, there are like notes about the Fizzle Bomber. He's like hints, right? And he's like, oh shit, I know where the Fizzle Bomber is. So he then proceeds to time travel with his not broken time travel thingy to the place where the Fizzle Bomber is. So he comes face to face with the Fizzle Bomber, and then turns out the Fizzle Bomber is John, right? And he's like, bro, no way. I would never do this. You're not like me. I would never kill innocent people. But Fizzle Bomber John is like, you don't understand. I saved more people by doing this. Like, I've lived through multiple versions, and this is always the best outcome. I exploded, so people don't go there, so people don't die, right? Makes sense. And he's like, no, you're talking bullshit. I will never be you. And he's like, yo, don't you understand? We can just make like a nice life and just live together here now, you know? Like, let's chill, relax. And he's like, no, you're evil. And he's like, no, don't you understand? If you kill me now, you become me. And he's like, no. And then he shoots him. Bam, Fizzle Bomber, John is dead. But that makes John the Fizzle Bomber John, right? Backtracking a little bit, we also find out this baby got stolen in the night. Turns out John was the person to steal the baby in the night because he had to continue the loop, right? He then puts the baby in front. Too intense. He then puts the baby in front of an adoption orphanage and gives an anonymous call, right? He gives an anonymous call, and they pick him up. The baby grows up to be Jane. So altogether, Jane, baby, grows up, becomes John, who then meets John and convinces to kill John, only to find out that John falls in love with Jane, which is also himself, who then get a baby, which turns out to be John. But then he's also doing all this because he wants to catch the Fizzle Bomber, but also turns out the Fizzle Bomber is also John. Do you understand why I hate paradox time travel movies? You fucked yourself in multiple ways.
People die from titties.
What? People die from cars?
Yeah. What is?
I'm a bird.
Bitch?
What nice? No, I'm a virgin. I can drive.
Is that boy smell?
Okay,